Hello, and thank you for joining me for another WOW moment. This is David, and today on the WOW, I'm going to be talking about identity crisis. Now, identity crisis is something that everyone suffers from. You have some people who aren't who they appear to be. You have some people who try to be someone that they're not, try to put on a facade that they're some type of way, or trying to present themselves as someone totally different. And you also have some people who are suffering from identity crisis who don't love themselves, who don't like the way they look, and basically what they'll do is that they'll follow other people and what other people do. They'll follow how other people look, and they'll try to present themselves as different types of people instead of being who they are deep down inside. And I'm going to break this stuff down to you people because I was someone, who was dealing with identity crisis, and it affects a lot of people, and also it's a very serious curse upon people that if it's not dealt with, it can lead to people hurting themselves, committing suicide, and what have you. So I'm just going to go into this message, and I'm going to pray first. Father Yahweh, thank you for having me here yet again another day. And in the Father, Son, Yeshua, I pray, amen. Okay, so when we look at identity crisis, what do we consider identity crisis? I'm someone, I've gotten to the point where I've grown more spiritual, that I can actually look at a person and can tell how they're feeling, who they are deep down inside, and I can always look at a person's actions and the way they present themselves and how they speak, and can tell whether they're being who they really are, or if they're just putting on a facade that they're someone totally different. Now, these kind of people are suffering from identity crisis. I wouldn't say it's their fault, because there are so many reasons as to why people suffer from identity crisis. Sometimes it could be peer pressure, sometimes it can be family members, sometimes it can be cursed relationships, cursed marriages, cursed friendships, cursed families, all the whole 9 yards. And more importantly, it is a curse for identity crisis because it keeps us from the Lord. And one thing about identity crisis is that it's a serious curse on people, because Satan is playing a vital role in this. And a lot of people don't understand is that sometimes, Satan will send people in your life just to cause you to be someone that try to make you into something that you're not, try to make you be someone or want to be like someone that you're not. And it's a very serious thing, people. Now, I'm going to use myself as an example, because I was someone, who was growing up in a family. There was a lot of favoritism. There was a lot going on and stuff. I've had problems with my weight. I had weight issues because I had so many people in my family. Well, I won't say so many, but I had people in my family who tried to tell me, about my weight. Like if I was too skinny, that I needed to eat more. If I was too fat, that I needed to lose weight. I was picked on a lot in school with my weight and stuff like that. I was verbally abused from my family members, for being, overweight. Now it took place normally during, it really took place during my times in middle school, and I would say when I was finishing elementary school and up around the time I was going into middle school, was when I was being more so bullied and stuff, and under pressure, basically. Um, and another thing was that, I'm a homosexual as well, and I was also suffering from that, from an identity crisis, because I had so many family members who were trying to mold me into something I really didn't want to be, or who I really wasn't, basically. Now, and it wasn't just my family members either, it was friends as well. I had a couple of friends who basically, they already knew that I was gay, but they didn't really accept the fact that I was feminine, and that was basically who I was deep down inside. So what a lot of people would do is that they would try to get in my ear and try to tell me how I should dress, or how I should talk, or how I should carry myself and present myself. And I was someone who was like, okay, I was someone back then who didn't really love myself. I really didn't care about myself, I never really cared about my appearance, basically. I came from a family who didn't really have much. So back in the days, if people were rocking Nikes and Jordans, or some baby fat, then they were considered, hot. Basically, they were considered that, okay, their family got it made. They got nice things, they're wearing nice things. And coming from someone who wore FUBUs, or anything that's cheap or anything, or knockoff shoes or whatever, or clothes, basically people will treat you differently. So that's another thing about identity crisis, is because you have a lot of people who are looked down upon in one aspect because they dress differently, they look differently. Now, we have to keep in mind is that, it's all material stuff. And if you're someone, who's trying to walk with the Lord, and, trying to go higher in the Lord, you have to know who you are deep down inside, because the Lord already knows who you are deep down inside. I'm going to be reading the passage later on, but like I was saying, the Lord knows who we are deep down inside. The Lord doesn't really look at our outside appearance. The Lord doesn't look at the material things that we possess, or that we're trying to possess. The Lord looks what's in our heart, basically. And we have to understand is that we are created in His image, and He wants us to love ourselves the way He made us. And a lot of people don't love themselves. A lot of people hate who they are because, again, it goes back to peer pressure. It goes back to verbal abuse and physical abuse. Some people who feel like they're not attractive enough. Some people who feel that their bodies aren't good enough. That it comes to the point to where, they'll try to gain material things, or they'll try to go out of the way to change who they really are just to fit in. And that's the sad part about, today's people, is that everyone's trying to fit in, everyone's trying to follow a trend, everyone's trying to, follow what's hot, basically. And that's why I would encourage you people to stop listening to all these rap videos and hip hop and pop, and stop watching BET, and stop watching all these shows and everything, because it's all a fantasy world. And I think a lot of people, who are suffering from identity crisis is because they're living in a fantasy world. They're too busy trying, like some of these girls are too busy trying to be like Kim Kardashian. They're too busy trying to be like Beyonce. And they can't accept the fact that it's all a fantasy world, basically. And, that they're not really them. You have a lot of people who worship idols, like a lot of men, they look up to Lil Wayne. A lot of men, they look up to Jay-Z, and they want to be just like them. Or they look up to Scarface, to drug lords and rap artists. They look up to sportsmanship, people in sports like LeBron James and stuff, or Michael Jordan, and they want to gain the material possessions that these demonic stars have, and they don't realize is that they're not being who they really are, or who the Lord called them to be, which is why the Lord can't get close to anybody nowadays, or he can't trust anybody, because you people can't trust, or you can't love your own self, because you're too busy wasting your time trying to live a lifestyle that's not meant for you, or living a lifestyle that you're trying to make up that's not even real, trying to be someone you're not. You know, you got some guys, when they get a little money, especially black men too, worldly black men, they get a little money, you know, or they're trying to gain more money, and they're trying to live it up like P. Diddy and stuff like that, and they don't realize is that you work a 9-to-5 job, or sometimes you might be, you know, selling cancer sticks, you know, doing selling illegal drugs and, you know, whatever, weed and stuff, trying to gain material stuff and trying to make yourself look more worthy than you already are. And a lot of people don't understand is that, you know, when it comes to material things, the Lord never wanted us to really have all these material things, because it's of the world, it's not of the Lord. And, you know, Satan's playing a vital role in all these identity crises, because you got television, you got movies, you got music, and a lot of people listen to it, a lot of people watch it, and it's all about, like, again, it goes back to the mind control. People, like I said, girls want to be just like Nicki Minaj. They want to have big breasts, they want to have wide hips, and they want to look just like that, put on the makeup, put on the weave, and, you know, wear the clothes and be just like these stars. But they don't understand is that you don't got Nicki Minaj money, you don't have Beyonce money, and a lot of these men don't realize is that you don't have P. Diddy's money, you don't have Lil Wayne's money, you don't have Jay-Z's money. These people are millionaires. They get paid from the Illuminati in the demonic realm to put on these facades for you people. And it's basically, again, it goes back to the mind control thing. It goes back to identity crisis, and it goes back to basically rubbing it in your face is that, you know, if you don't have this, then you're nothing. You need to, you know, work harder to get where you're at to gain what these stars have. But you have to understand, people, the Lord Yeshua, he was a basic, well, I wouldn't say he's a basic man, because he was an extraordinary man, but he was a man who was someone who didn't live a lifestyle, you know. He was famous in his own right, but it all came naturally. Yeshua wasn't trying to be someone that he was not. And Yeshua was someone who was a poor man. You know, he wasn't rich. He didn't have, you know, carriages and horses and stuff. You know, this is someone who borrowed, you know, donkeys or whatever just to get to where he was, and wore rags and stuff like that. And a lot of you people need to just get into the Word and just get your mind off all these material stuff, because that's what the main thing is, that material things have a lot of you people gone. And another thing is that a lot of you people, it's gotten so worse to where you're just being who you're not. You're just trying to be someone who you're not. And a lot of people hate themselves. A lot of people don't love themselves because they feel like they're not good enough because they don't have certain things. They feel like they're not good enough because they don't look a certain way. You know, they don't feel like they're good enough because they can't hang with the cool kids, because the cool kids are popular, or they have nicer clothes, or, you know, and stuff like that. And this curse is so serious, it's to the point to where people will try so hard to be different. People try so hard just to fit in. It's just basically killing them inside, because deep down inside, they just want to let out. They just want to get out and they want to be who they really are, but they're just too afraid and stuff. They're just too afraid to admit who they are. You know, you have you got a lot of these men out there, you know, who are suffering from pride, suffering from wanting to be a man, basically. And you got a lot of these men out there who are afraid to be, or who are afraid to show emotion. Like, men don't cry. You know, they always got to put on a facade that they're hard, you know, and that they're a man, and that, you know, they don't really have emotions and stuff. But at the same time, you know, you're behind closed doors, you're crying, and you're doing stuff like that. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with, you know, having emotions and stuff. A lot of women out there, they want to play the role as a man, you know, be dominant and take control of a cursed relationship, when the Lord never intended for a woman to be in control of a relationship. So again, you know, it goes back to the identity crisis, because now you got a lot of these women who aren't even submissive anymore. A lot of these women are very dominant. A lot of these women are very, you know, masculine and stuff like that, that they want to wear their pants in a relationship. And basically they want to take, you know, total control, when the Lord put man over woman. And, you know, that goes, again, back to identity crisis. And then you have a lot of the men, you know, who are, you know, submissive to their girlfriends and their wives, and they're letting their girlfriends and their wives take control, and they're playing the role as a female would. And again, it goes back to the Lord placing man over woman. That's how, you know, it was intended to be and stuff. Because you can't have dominance and dominance together. It just doesn't mesh well, basically. So again, when it goes back to the identity crisis, and a lot of the youth suffer from it as well, because with the youth, you know, their mindsets are very gone. You know, they're still young at heart and stuff, but a lot of these youth, they're trying to figure out who they are, you know. And the sad part about it is that there's no guidance in the home. There's no real parenting going on. A lot of these children, they're not in the Word. They're too busy playing video games and watching TV, and there's nothing in the household that's basically teaching these children the Word of the Lord Yahweh and Yeshua. And that's why, you know, a lot of these young kids today, they're running around acting wild, acting crazy, and, you know, following behind, you know, Justin Bieber, Chris Brown, and all these or all these other young artists and stuff like that. And that's why a lot of these young kids today, is that they're suffering from identity crisis, because, you know, they're not happy with who they are, basically, because they're too busy trying to fit in, and they're too busy following behind other people. And I would just encourage a lot of people, if you're suffering from identity crisis, is that I would just try to seek out the Lord, try to get in the Word, you know, repent, basically pray, because the Lord, like I said, He doesn't really care about our appearance and stuff like that. He's more focused on what's inside the heart, because the Lord already knows what He created, and the Lord already knows deep down inside who we really are and who we really want to be deep down inside. And the Lord knows that we're living in a time to where a lot of people are confused. A lot of people are afraid to admit what they really want in life, and afraid to admit who they really are. And it says here in 1 Samuel chapter 16 verses 7, "But the Lord said to Samuel, do not look at his appearance or at his physical stature, because I have refused him. For the Lord does not see as man sees. For a man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart." So basically, people, what that passage is saying is, what I've been telling people is that the Lord doesn't really look at, you know, the physical appearance and stuff. And He doesn't see what a lot of people see today. And the Lord sees what's in our heart, basically, people. And so I would just encourage people is that be who you are, and accept who you are, and get into your Word of Yahweh Yeshua, and just pray, people. and talking